Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joann Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole. This is episode 36, and today we have a guest speaker, a guest friend, Johnna Dobbs of Couture Lamps. And so, being the social butterflies that we are, Joann and I have friends in all the right places. And so today we're going to talk to one of those friends. And so we met Johnna in Arkansas. We were there participating in a Tobi Fairley Mastermind course that we've talked a lot about. And Johnna was in our group, but she brought a really unique perspective to our group because she was the only one that wasn't a designer. And she's a lighting manufacturer, and she wanted to insert herself into the design tribe so that she could learn how to kind of gear her business towards working with the trade, which I thought was quite savvy of her. Mm-hmm. And so we've always just been super impressed with her life, both professionally and personally, and we got along so well. So we just thought that she would be really fun to have on the show because she has some great perspectives into from the manufacturing standpoint. So, hi, Johnna.
Hi, Johnna. We're so happy to have you. Why don't you start off with giving us just a little bit about your background working with your family and Mastercraft International?
Well, good morning, everyone. Wow. I'm third generation in my family's lighting business. My grandfather started in the 60s. They would take different parts, glass parts, metal, anything like that they could find to assemble lamps. And it kind of, started with that. Then my dad came along, interested in the family business, and transitioned into a full-fledged factory, still buying different parts of glass pieces, metal pieces, and then they actually started a hydrocal manufacturing where they would pour, the liquid and into different molds, designs, and kind of took off with that.
Wait, what did you call that? What did you call that?
Hydrocal. Hydrocal, kind of like a plaster type material.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's a lot of, that was kind of, ceramic was around, porcelain, obviously, but that was kind of the thing in America that everyone did back when everything was produced in America. And it just elevated from that to, later in the 90s when companies started outsourcing products, and we opened different facilities around the world with Mastercraft to manufacture products, and that's when I came along on that part of it, entering the business, and so it's been really neat being a part of a family business and learning all the different aspects, and I'm really proud to say that I am third generation in my family's business.
When we were first chatting, one of the many times we were chatting with you at High Point, I remember, and just a little background on Johnna, she's this beautiful, beautiful Southern, a blonde bombshell.
I call her, to me, she's like the Carrie Underwood of the design business. Beautiful, beautiful inside and out, for sure.
So,
thank you.
So I kind of have to giggle when I think of you like Down and Dirty, and we were talking about you traveling to Vietnam and India and your factories there, and you were giving us some really cool perspective on why you guys manufacture in those countries, and how, for example, I remember you telling me, like, in Vietnam, one person. Now, correct me if I'm not telling the story right, but like one person works on a lamp from start to finish versus like maybe in China where there's 20 hands might touch that one lamp. It's a production line, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So just kind of like with that, being in a family business and, having the clientele that we do, and being the third generation, my dad, challenged me on what I was going to bring to the table and what type of business, that I could help, grow our family business and couture, that type of thing. And part of that, going to the other countries such as Vietnam and India, those are more artisans than what you would say. I know China has some, but the true artisans that can come up with and make your design better than what you give them, we find happens more in Vietnam and India. And in Vietnam, when we have the opportunity to work with natural materials, and that's what we love. And in Vietnam, that's exactly right. When a person starts on a design, your creation in the factory, they handle that product all the way through from the start to finish, because it is a piece of art to them, and that's how they feel about it. So they want to make each lamp, beautiful and, just the right way. And they really love the opportunity to have neat products that Couture brings to the table in their factory. So they really find it special to get to work with us.
That's so impressive.
I know. And so when you go, how often do you go there?
About 5 times a year. It just depends.
Wow.
I definitely go, 4 times a year, but sometimes there's different meetings and things that come up that I need to go more. Sometimes it might be a trip less, just depending on, exactly what's going on, but for sure 4 times a year.
How long is that flight?
Yeah.
How long is that flight?
Well, to Vietnam, I go from Memphis, Dallas, and then from Dallas to Hong Kong is 16 hours, and then you have to stay the night in Hong Kong, then get on a flight the next day to Vietnam, and it's about 3.5, 4 hours from Hong Kong. So It makes for a little bit of a travel.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh! So,
Wow.
Are you visiting the factory and like working, or are you working with the artisans in the factory, or are you there for more kind of higher up meetings? Or wow, that is so cool
most
to
of
me.
the time when I'm there in the factories, when I go to Vietnam, I am there in the factory, hands on. We send them our designs. We send that on ahead of time. So when I arrive, then I can, they'll have some samples made, some molds, and we critique, see what we need to do better, just changes that might need to be made, things like that.
Are we talking about strictly lamps here, or are we talking about some of Couture's accessories as well?
Both, either or. That's how the process that we do with the accessories as well. It's just hands-on, when we are in the factory, getting to work with them. They always have some great ideas. Once the product is actually made, we can, tweak the sizing, maybe add some extra embellishments to it. That's one thing that is really neat, getting to work with some of the natural materials. There's a lot of things like with Couture, we do a lot of shells, the abalone, capes, different type of things. So we have a lot of leftover pieces. And one thing that we try to do is recycle anything that we use, so we don't have a lot of waste. So we do a lot of fun things of like crushing the shell and putting it into different finishes to make this beautiful luster on some of the Couture lamps that we have.
Cool.
Just do that. We set it in some clear resin. Couture is known for the beautiful clear resin that we do. And so sometimes when you don't really think about it, but when you really look at the pieces, you can see how we've upcycled some of the products that were leftovers and use them. So we don't usually waste a lot of material.
How do the artisans in India work differently than the ones in Vietnam? Like, do they have different ideas and viewpoints, or is it they're just bringing your designs to life?
A little bit of both. India is a little more difficult to work with. One being the transportation. India is not as developed as, say, Vietnam and China are. Transportation and moving about your product, lead times, all of that is still very, very difficult. And that's probably, we do the less out of India just for that reason, because, the product is amazing. The most beautiful fabrics. We all know the amazing things that come out of India. It's just being able to actually get your hands on it it takes a little more time. And they still have on some of their really big pieces of stone and things that they do, they still have the elephants bring this down the mountain.
Oh my gosh,
still,
no way.
So interesting.
It's still that type of thing, so sometimes the elements that you want to work with are kind of more difficult to get your hands on. But the unique thing about India, like say for lighting, is you go to the actual village where all of the lighting is made, where in Vietnam and China, it's spread out all over. In India, it's more specified in their region, like, the region for their textiles. Everything that's made is in a particular area. So it is a little more difficult, to get your products out of India. But when you do, it is definitely worth it.
I think that is just so cool. Like, I'm like envisioning you like and in these environments and doing what you do, and who would have thunk it that this is where this is who's behind these lamps and these furnishings.
So let's just back up a little bit for the person who has never heard of Couture lamps. I'm sure many of our designer friends have, but the general public. So tell us about Couture, and is it just to the trade? Like, give us a little scoop in the background of Couture.
So, going back to my family's business, my dad, was like, what are you going to bring to the table, Johnna? This is your turn. And so I wanted to do something different at Mastercraft, with Mastercraft being, a price point company. I wanted to bring something that I could maybe show off more of my talent with the higher end look. So Couture is basically a high end residential designer product that we take advantage of the natural materials that we have, and we do sell to the trade. We stock all of our products in Arkansas. That's where we are based. And so we have products, available.
If I'm a listener, where and I'm like, oh yeah, this girl sounds really cool. I've gone onto the website. I love the product. Where can they find it, or do they have to go through a designer?
You can do either or, but we sell to different stores all over the United States. And then you can purchase from our website for retail, but and then designers, obviously, we sell to. That's who we prefer to go through, our designers.
Yeah. So we've noticed, and I don't know if I'm sure the general public has noticed. You see it, from companies even like Target that are partnering with high-end designers. And so you have a brand partner, Meg Caswell, who's a friend of all of ours that we adore.
Design star, HGTV design star.
So how does that come about where you kind of add a designer partner into your line?
Well, I have a really amazing licensing group that I work with, and we kind of talk about what couture, what we're looking for as far as a designer and the aesthetic that designer has and how that would work with couture. And another thing in looking for a designer is, a designer can have a look, but being able to put that look into product and, a lot of that takes a unique talent that someone can take their aesthetic of how they decorate, what they like, and put it into actual product instead of just, color, material, things like that, actually making a lamp, accessory, mirrors, things like that. And someone that we think that can really design a look. So we always look for those things, and, obviously that they, are well known in the industry, things like that. But really just, that the aesthetics are alike. That's always number one. And we work, side by side, developing products. The designer approves everything, and that can take a little bit of time, the back and forth.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's the timeline from like when you say, Meg, let's work together, and you guys get your agreement together, from brainstorming to hitting the shelves? I'm assuming that's a year or more, or
year and a half, I would say, for easy. Definitely a year and a half.
You guys have new product that comes out. What did I read? Like 300 new items every quarter or something?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, it does take a village.
She lays in bed and sketches every single night.
Yeah, well, and I find inspiration everywhere. Constantly, I know I drive my family crazy because I, am constantly searching for new ideas. Anything that, can resonate into lighting, decorative accessories. But anything that I look at, and I don't know, I guess it's just who I am. And I don't even realize that I'm always looking to see how, I could turn that or, an element on a lamp, anything how that might turn into a design.
You hear so many designers say that they just get so much inspiration from travel, or you could just be, looking at a Barry Dixon. He designed a fabric line, with the hay
from his farm.
Looking at the round things of hay, and he made a beautiful fabric. So I can see how your brain would never turn off, because there's always the creative mind kind of going.
So speaking of which, Couture, I believe, is 7 years old now. So kind of what are you cooking up something crazy new, or you're just what's your future?
Well, 7 years to some people sounds like a long time, but that
it's baby
early
steps.
Stages, baby steps. And, we've kind of realized what, the direction that we really want to go in. Just kind of, we've dabbled in accent furniture and, had, some success with that. But obviously lighting, that's our cup of tea, what we're really great at. We love deck accessories. But one thing that we're wanting to look to in the future are pendants, because pendants are, making this.
I could see you doing really well with that.
And we've played around with some different papers and different things like that. But we love embellishments at Couture and things that sparkle. So we've got a lot of neat ideas and unique looks for some new pendants that will be coming out in the future. So I really want to expand our look to that. And that's probably, what I'm most excited about right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to let's take your professional self aside, and let's talk about your personal side, because
it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. So you have 2 children,
So Cooper, he's almost 17, and Dylan, she is 14.
Well, this is what I love about people that, especially creative people who, like, they have this whole other self, you know, kind of like, or if you meet like our accountant and you realize he's in a band, you know what I mean? Like, I love when you have these dual lives going on and they fuel each other. So, whenever I look, following Joanna as my friend on Facebook, I'm not seeing anything about her lighting in her world in Vietnam. I'm looking at the rodeos and the horses and the amazing stuff that she and her kids do.
Barrel racing, I've never even really knew what it was until Joanna came into my life.
I think it's awesome. So tell us about your horses and all that.
Well, they are a huge part of my family's life. Actually, I was raised showing horses, and that's how I met my husband, Travis. Travis is from Illinois, and he came from a family that raised and competed with horses, and so we met like that. And then, of course, what else does our family do? We raise horses and compete and rodeo. So it is unique and different, but the most amazing thing about it is we do it as a family, and everybody, you know, kind of has their own thing they love about competing with the horses and what they do, but we all do it as a family, so that's the very best part.
Well, I just think that is so cool.
He ropes, he calf ropes, and you know, my daughter and I love to barrel race, and it's amazing the people that you meet showing horses and just the involvement with that, and amazing is that you get to go. We had a horse competing at the Calgary Stampede 2 summers ago, and that might be one of the most beautiful places we have ever been. Mm-hmm. In Canada. I mean, it was just Banff, all of the places that we've got to see while we were there for a rodeo. So
I was going to say, like, the competing is one side of it, but then traveling the country and the people you meet.
When she's not in Vietnam, by the way, working side by side with artisans, she's, roping a calf. I mean, I just think that's completely cool, Joanna. That just makes you just, my idol.
Well, you're too kind. You're so funny. But I love it. I think with the kids, it teaches them responsibility and life, just, always having to take care of that animal. They are at your mercy, even though they're in the pastures and come up. But you have to make, we treat our animals like our kids too. So, we love it. We wouldn't know any way to do anything different than being on a farm.
Well, I think that is so great. I told Joann, she was shocked. I told her that I would love to live on a farm, and she's like, I never knew that about you. I was like, yeah, I don't want to I don't necessarily want to muck the stalls and stuff, but I would really like to live on a farm and love on the animals all day.
And I'm so not like the outdoorsy type. I had a friend who had horses when I was younger, and the horse knew I was so afraid of him, and it kicked me off. And then she really wanted me to come back, and she said, I'll let you have Willie. And Willie was, 100 years old and was kind of limping, and I was perfectly fine with Willie. They do know if you're scared of them, they can feel that. And
he felt it. Joann, you need to stay away from the farm. It is not your cup of tea. All right, so we are going to wind down, but I want to remind everybody, if you want to take a closer peek into Joanna's creations, you can go to couturelamps.com, and COUTURE lamps.com. And then, are you guys on Instagram?
We are.
Yes.
Lamps.
Okay.
Yes.
Of course you are.
Pinterest, all those, I think.
Yeah. So take a closer look. And if you're a designer, for sure, check them out at High Point and see it's always kind of a fun party going on at Couture. We love to stop by and see everything.
And we need to give a shout out for Couture donating to our thrift studio space.
Yes.
Joanna donated a couple of lamps, 2 of which are Meg Caswell's, which are really, really pretty, and some accessories. And it really, really elevated our space.
It really did. It wouldn't have looked the same without those pieces.
We really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Meg has some beautiful pieces.
and I'm praying for her because she lives in Wilmington, North Carolina, and with Hurricane Florence, I know she was having a hard time. So we're really thinking about her right now. So I am leaving for Europe in a week, and so I will. Yes, so because life isn't crazy enough, but I'm ditching Joann for 2 weeks because she ditched me earlier in the year, and so our inspirational quote today comes from the fact that I'm about to be gone, and so it is this. Travel makes one modest. You must see what a tiny place you occupy in the world. And that's Gustave Flaubert.
Yeah,
And I'm sure Joanna
could
appreciate that being in India and Vietnam, that when you go to these countries, you really realize that you're just a little speck in the world.
Yes, this is true.
So,
That
all
is
right, you want to do the funny
absolutely
quote?
right.
Yep. All right, here's our funny quote. This is good. I wish there was an away message for life. Something like, "Hi, I'm exhausted from human interaction. I know I'm posting on social media, but I currently just don't have the energy to hold a conversation. I still love you and we'll get back to you within 3 to 5 business days."
Do you think when I go to Europe, this can be my away message and it'll just say, "I'll get back with you in 14 days"?
Yeah.
I'm done with you all.
Yeah. Well, Joanna, we really appreciate you taking the time. You have such an interesting life, and we just love your company and your designs and your whole deal. And so we want to say thanks.
Well, I'm honored that y'all wanted to talk to me today. It made my day, and I look forward to seeing everyone at High Point, and I hope you have the most amazing trip to Europe.
Thanks. We'll chat with you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Okay,
bye, ladies.
Yep, thanks, Anna. Our next podcast, we will be talking about what it takes to produce a podcast.
Oh, yes.
And so if any of you are interested or wondering how this whole podcast world works, you'll want to listen to that one.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be good with Popcorn Ceiling Man.
The Popcorn Ceiling Man will be on. Tracy DeForge, who is the one who got us started in all this, and their company, which is called Produce Your Podcast.
All right.
So have a good one, everybody.
Bye.
Join Joann and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Candrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at candrak-cole.com for more information.